Welcome back to Paul's Little Forge and part 2 of our low layer Damascus knife. We're going to be able to finish it up this time around, and I appreciate everybody's patience waiting for me to get around to it. So let's get back to it and have some fun. So I still need to hand sand this. You can see the nickel showing in that really good though, can't you? It's really coming out good. So I got to hand sand it, get it all cleaned up. But first, I'm going to fit the handle to it and cut this into scales and use these Gulso bolts to hold the handle on. And I got this decorated pin that I'm also going to put into the handle. When I get the handle all finished and everything done and all polished and sealed, I'm actually going to pull it back off, then hand sand it. And when I got it off, I'll clean up all of this area around here that may have some glue or anything like that on it from the handle work. Now I'm going to have a little dilemma, because when I get the scales put on and I put this pin in there, because I have to have that pin in there to be able to finish that handle properly. And that pin, if I glue that pin in, I won't be able to take the handle back off because it'll be glued into the knife. So the Gulso bolts are designed so you can take handles on and off. That's why I love using them. So the only thing I can think of to make this pin work is to cut it in half when I cut these scales down and have it a two-piece part, and then glue it into the handle, finish it, and it'll come right off. The pin's not doing anything to hold the knife together. That's just there for decoration. These are what will hold that handle together. I'm gonna cut these in about 3/8 of an inch thick. They won't be that thick when they're on the handle, but they'll be sanded down. That's what we're gonna start with. The way I like to do my handles, I like to take two-sided tape like this right here, put it in between these scales, get it kind of square, tape them, then I will tape the knife on top of it, and then I will drill my holes into the scales through the handle. Now I will drill one hole, then I will put a pin in there to keep that in place so it doesn't shift around. Even though there's double-sided tape on it, it still could move a little bit. So I'm gonna put that in to keep it in place. Drill the second hole, put another pin in, and then I'll drill the third hole. Guys, when you start making knives, you'll just develop your own ways of doing it. And your own way is gonna be fine. Don't listen to the naysayers that tell you you have to do it my way. Just do it the way that works for you.
A lot of opinions in this knife making industry, and they're just that, opinions.
So I think I've showed you guys this before. I like to put a piece of tape on the back side. That helps keep it tear outs from happening when you drill through. And then I also like to put a little piece of hardwood backer on it. Now this one's just about worn out, so I'm gonna try to find a spot that doesn't already have a hole drilled in it and use that area. A nice looking little hole there. Then we'll take a pin, put that pin in there. when I'm grinding wood with this, I just use an old wore out belt so I don't mess up my good ones, and just do a little bit of shaping. So I want that handle to come up to about right here, and I'm going to go straight across with it on this. I'm not going to do a circular, and that's so it will, when it goes into the sheath, the leather is going to come up and be squared across, and then that handle will rest right on the leather. And I'm just going to take this over to the chop saw and cut it off. So I took this over, put it on the chop saw, cut it to the length I want. I went ahead, I did it off camera, but I just rounded the front of that real quick with the sander. If you don't do that with it off the knife, you'll never get it done properly when it's on the knife. You'll either mess up the knife or mess up this. So I went ahead and got that rounded. And now what I'm going to do is I cut my decorated pin in two. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's going to be what it looks like. And I'm going to glue this in here and let that sit for a little while. And then I'm going to come back and finish shaping this. Guys, I use G-Flex epoxy, two-part epoxy. I don't remember the PSI strength of this, but it's way up there. It's 10 or 20 times more than your 5-minute epoxy. So I love this stuff. I have had mistakes where I've had to pull handles back off, and you don't get them off in one piece if you use this to put them on. Not gonna need a lot here today, just a little bit. A little bit cold outside today, so I had to run that under some warm water. I do live in Florida, but it still gets cold, guys. I know a lot of people I run into around the country is like, oh, it's always hot there. Not true. I got parchment paper down here so that if any of this excess gets on anything, my handles won't get glued to it. They'll just pull right off of it. So we're gonna put a good bit on that, get it on that tip there. I'm just gonna push it right down in the hole. And I'm gonna let these stick out just a little bit on the back side, just so that they will go into the hole of the knife and just help hold it in place. And we are just going to let that sit up and come back in about half a day or a day. It takes a while for this stuff to set up. All right, I let these sit overnight so that I had a really good bond with these decorated pins in the handles. So I'm gonna put this in the vise and cut these pieces off down as close as I can get it to the wood using my hacksaw. And the reason I'm gonna do that is there's one enemy to epoxy, and that is heat. And if I was to grind that off, it may get so hot that the epoxy might loosen up, and we do not want that. So the least amount of grinding I can do on that metal, the better off we'll be. I recessed all the holes in the handle for the Gusso bolts to go in. I only showed one in the video though. Make sure we got the right depth. That's pretty good. I'm gonna just bump it a little bit more. On a lot of my handles, I use my router, my little homemade router table here to round the edges. Still got to be very careful with doing that because if you get this too high or too low, it's not going to be quite right. I'm using a 5/16 round over on this one. I'll use anything from an 1/8 for really thin scaled knives all the way up to 3/8, just depending on what I'm going to be doing. So you can see that this pink ivory wood burns pretty bad. Look at that. So high-speed stuff like that's going to burn it. So you're going to have to sand that off to make it look pretty. So once I get all the deep gouges out at 240 grit, then I'll step up to 400, which I have in my hand right now. From 400, I'll go to 6 and then 8. After 8, we'll put a little CA glue on it, sand it, put more, sand it, do 4 or 5 coats of that, and then we'll put it on the polishing machine. Get it all pretty, and then we'll take that handle back off, hand sand that blade, and etch it in ferric chloride and see what it looks like.
You don't have to put a finish on a hardwood like this if you don't want.
You can just polish it, get it really nice and smooth and polish it. If you're going to use it out in the elements, that might be the best way to do it. It really just depends on what you want out of it. or how you want it to look. Putting the CA glue on it does make it beautiful, makes it shine and pop. May not be the best application though for a knife you're going to use out skinning a deer or cutting up a fish or something like that while you're camping. 600 grit now. Handle's really starting to feel good. We'll do this, we'll make sure that decorated pin gets some attention so that it doesn't have sanding marks and it starts looking pretty smooth. And finally some 800 grit here. I'm gonna put a little CA glue on there, see if this pink ivory pops out pretty good. And it does. Yeah, it looks pretty good with the CA glue on it. So I think we'll go with that. If it didn't look good, I was gonna just polish it, but I think we'll. All right, guys, I'm gonna put a few more coats of this on. I'm not gonna film every bit of that and bore you to death, but we'll put probably at least 3 more coats on and sand in between. So I'm going to pull the handle back off, take these bolts that got a little bit of super glue and some of the polish material on them, and I'm going to drop them into some acetone, clean all that up. I'm going to clean all this spline here up really good, get all that residual super glue off of that, and then hand sand this and etch it. Did some 120 and some 220 on this. Now I'm at 400, and gonna go up to 800, I believe, is what I'm gonna do. Gotta be careful when you're doing this. If you start getting really thin here, you could cut yourself. So this little device works great, but it can lay you open if you're not careful. What we're trying to do here is get any scratches that are not uniform in this direction out of this. And we're looking pretty good. 600 grit there, and it is looking pretty good. I went ahead and stopped at 600 grit on the other side. I'm gonna hit this one just a little more. Before I etch this, I want to get it really clean. So I use this brake clean material. Guys, it's really bad for you, but it does clean these knives very good. It's expensive, but it works as good as anything I've seen to get all the moisture out of it. So I'm going to do it a couple of times, and then I'm even going to put this under a little bit of water with some dishwashing soap, clean it again, and then spray it again. So make sure it is very clean. Spray this one more time. And then I'm going to pour a little distilled water on it. Guys, when you mix your ferric acid, use distilled water to dilute it. I use 4-to-1 most of the time. If you don't use distilled water, use water right out of your tap or your well, it's going to have a lot of stuff in it that is going to mess up the etch process. I went through that early on in my career with this. Did not realize what I was doing wrong until it was a little too late on a few knives, because I never could get the etch right, and it was just turning in a very ugly color. Ended up using distilled water, and that problem went away. So we are going to put it in. Check on it in a few minutes, and maybe leave it in for about 10 minutes altogether. Let's give it a look. It's been a few minutes, and see how it came out. Oh, I think that looks pretty good, guys. Oh yeah, very nice. We'll put it in just for about another minute, and then we're going to assemble this knife. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to spray it with some Windex to neutralize that acid. The ammonia in the Windex is what does that. I'll do that off camera. So I'm going to let this set up for just a second, let it get a little bit dry, and then we'll assemble it. There's a good look at it in the daylight. Guys, we got this done. This is a 33 layer Damascus knife using nickel shim. We have the pink ivory handle that is just beautiful. If you look at this very close, nice handle, decorated pin, got the Horner logo. Yeah, it really turned out good. I appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate all my followers. You guys mean a lot to me. Look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you and take care.